Imagine making $150,000 a year and still feeling a tight, suffocating knot in your stomach when the check engine light comes on in your car. It sounds absurd, doesn't it? To the average person, a six-figure salary represents the pinnacle of financial security, the ultimate promised land where money problems simply evaporate. You are supposed to be popping champagne, taking annual trips to the Mediterranean, and casually checking a growing portfolio. Yet, for an absolutely staggering portion of the population, earning a high income has become nothing more than a golden treadmill. You are running faster, sweating more, but fundamentally, you are going absolutely nowhere. You are part of the phenomenon as Henry, high earner, not rich yet, but the reality is far more brutal. If you do not recognize the invisible habits burning through your cash, not rich yet will permanently shift into never going to be wealthy. Earning a good salary is just a tool. It is not an identity. It is not a shield. And today, we are going to look in the mirror at the 10 absolute, undeniable signs that your high income is masking the fact that you are fundamentally, structurally, and dangerously moving towards being permanently broke. Hi, my name is Bill. You know, Dollar Bill. I want to personally thank you for taking the time to watch this video today. It actually means the world to me that you are here, investing your time into building a better future. Since we have a global community, let me know down in the comments exactly what city or country you are watching from right now. I always love to see how far this financial family is spreading. And before we get into the heavy stuff, please take exactly 1 second to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the strategies that the banks and the system hope you never find out about. Done? Awesome. Now grab a notebook, because what we are about to discuss might just save your life. Sign number 1 that you are going to stay broke despite your great salary. You have fallen victim to the stealthiest wealth killer of them all, the devastating phenomenon known as lifestyle creep. Let us talk about the psychology of the promotion. Every time you get a raise, what exactly happens in your brain? There is a massive release of dopamine, a biological reward that signals to your body that you have stepped up in the social hierarchy. Now logically, you should take that extra $500 a month and immediately redirect it into an aggressive investment vehicle, an index fund, real estate, anything that begins to grow independently of your physical labor. But the human brain is not wired for logic. It is wired for status. So instead of investing the difference, you subconsciously begin to upgrade your baseline existence. The perfectly good Honda Civic you drove for 5 years suddenly feels inadequate. You need the entry-level BMW. The coffee you used to make at home suddenly gets replaced by a $7 artisanal latte because, hey, you deserve it now. The 2-bedroom apartment shifts into a luxury downtown loft because your new salary allows for it. This is the hedonic treadmill in its purest, most destructive form. You make more, so you spend more. And you justify every single penny of it because society tells you that your spending must perfectly reflect your earning power. But here is the silent mathematical tragedy of lifestyle creep. If your income goes up by 20%, but your living expenses also go up by 20%, your actual wealth accumulation remains exactly at 0. Your financial baseline has not improved 1 single millimeter. In fact, it has gotten worse because your new expensive lifestyle requires a higher monthly break-even point. If you were to lose that high-paying job tomorrow, your financial freefall would be exponentially more painful than it would have been 3 years ago. You have built a beautiful, shining prison made of recurring subscriptions, premium leases, and luxury overhead. You are not wealthy. You are just a high-functioning conduit for money to pass through your hands and directly into the pockets of massive corporations. To break this, you must aggressively defend your margins. When income goes up, expenses must remain flat. Completely flat. That gap, the margin between what you earn and what you spend, is the only place where true wealth actually lives. Let me ask you something. Are you wearing a smartwatch right now? Are you holding the latest iPhone? Good, because we need to talk about sign number 2. You are chronically addicted to financing depreciating liabilities. It is the greatest magic trick the modern financial system ever pulled. Persuading high-income earners that making monthly payments on things that are actively losing value is a normal, acceptable adult behavior. Let us break down the vehicle financing trap, because this is where six-figure earners absolutely slaughter their financial futures. You just got a fantastic job making $120,000 a year. You feel powerful. You walk into a dealership and see a brand new $80,000 luxury SUV. The salesman does not ask you if you have $80,000 in cash. No, they ask you a much more dangerous question. What kind of monthly payment are you looking for? They restructure reality. They stretch a liability over 72 months, wrap it in high interest rates, and suddenly, you are paying over $1,000 a month for a piece of metal, glass, and plastic that loses 20% of its value the absolute second rubber meets the pavement. But it doesn't stop with cars. You finance the massive old television. You put the luxury vacation on a credit card and pay it off over 6 months. You use buy now, pay later schemes for designer clothing. You are literally borrowing money from your future self, pulling your future labor into the present, just to possess objects that are actively bleeding monetary value. The wealthy understand a very simple binary rule. You use debt to purchase assets that appreciate, that pay you out in cash flow. You never, ever use debt to purchase consumer goods. When you use your high salary to finance a lifestyle of depreciating liabilities, you are sprinting on a treadmill that is slowly tilting backwards. You will never catch up. The math prevents you from catching up. Let's pause right here and think about this. Really think about it. Do you actually own your life, or are you just renting it from the bank on a 30-day cycle? It is a terrifying thought. And that leads us to sign number 3. You fundamentally confuse the concepts of high income and high net worth. This is an extremely common psychological blind spot for doctors, lawyers, engineers, and tech executives. Society has socially conditioned us to believe that if money is consistently pouring into the checking account, we are rich. This is a fatal misconception. Income is a measure of cash flow. Net worth is a measure of accumulated, retained value. If you make $250,000 a year, but you spend $249,000 keeping your life afloat, your net worth is essentially non-existent. You are one bad medical emergency, one corporate downsizing, or one prolonged economic recession away from total financial ruin. Think of money as water. A high salary means you have a massive, powerful river flowing through your property. It looks impressive. People driving by admire the roar of the water. But if you have not built a dam, if you have not constructed a reservoir to actually capture and hold the water, the river simply passes by and vanishes into the ocean. You are left with a dry riverbed the absolute second the rain stops. True wealth is the reservoir. It is the portfolio of dividend-paying index funds. It is the cash-flowing real estate properties. It is the equity in businesses. It is capital that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without demanding overtime pay, without needing sleep, and without taking vacations. High-income individuals who stay broke focus obsessively on increasing the flow of the river, mistakenly believing that a larger salary will suddenly solve their fundamental inability to retain capital. It won't. If you cannot manage and retain $10,000, you will completely fail at managing $100,000. Sign number 4 takes us deep into the illusion of modern banking. You play the credit card points game, and the game is playing you. It is fascinating how intelligent, high-earning professionals can be completely manipulated by the gamification of spending. Credit card companies employ armies of behavioral psychologists specifically to hijack your decision-making processes. They offer you shiny metal cards, airport lounge access, and points matrices that make spending feel like a competitive sport. If I just spend another $3,000 this month, I will reach the next tier status. Listen to yourself. You are voluntarily parting with thousands of hard-earned dollars in exchange for a free flight to Cancun that probably has blackout dates anyway. The trap is absolute. Studies consistently show that consumers spend anywhere from 12 to 18% more when swiping a credit card, compared to handing over physical cash, simply because the pain of the transaction is heavily abstracted. You are separated from the emotional gravity of the purchase. The high earner thinks they are beating the system because they get 2% cash back. It is almost laughable. You spend an extra 15% just to get 2% back, and you proudly tell your friends at dinner how savvy you are. Meanwhile, the credit card company is laughing all the way to their quarterly earnings report. And worse, the moment you miss one payment or carry a balance because your expenses outpaced your high salary for just 1 month, the 25% compounding interest completely obliterates any perceived value of your points. The points are an illusion. They are cheese in a trap designed specifically for people who think they are too smart to get caught. We are almost halfway through the list. Let me ask you, are you starting to see the invisible strings attached to your salary? It gets worse. Moving to sign number 5. You are constantly borrowing against a future that has not happened yet. This is the phenomenon of anticipated wealth. Let's say you work in sales or corporate finance, and you are expecting a $40,000 end-of-year bonus. Your brain immediately accounts for that money as if it is already sitting safely in your vault. 6 months before the bonus is even approved, you upgrade your kitchen. You book the luxury vacation. You put a down payment on a boat. You have psychologically spent the money before you have legally earned it. When you exist in a state of anticipated wealth, you are assuming a flawless, uninterrupted timeline of economic stability. You are betting that the market will not crash. You are betting that your company will hit its revenue targets. You are betting that your boss won't undergo a leadership change and cut bonuses to protect shareholder margins. The wealthy operate with absolute fiscal paranoia regarding unearned income. Money does not exist until it has cleared the bank, the taxes have been paid, and it is firmly under their aggressive control. By spending tomorrow's uncertain earnings today, you are forcing yourself to stay on the corporate hamster wheel. You cannot quit the job you hate because you have already spent the money you haven't made yet. This is not financial planning. This is indentured servitude dressed up in a designer suit. Let's pause. Breathe. Are you feeling comfortable? You shouldn't be, because we are about to talk about the government. Sign number 6 that your high salary will leave you broke. You suffer from profound financial illiteracy regarding tax optimization. For high earners, the absolute largest expense you will face in your entire lifetime is not your luxury car. It is not your massive mortgage. It is your tax bill. When you transition from earning $50,000 a year to $200,000, you don't just face more absolute taxes. You move into punishing, aggressive tax brackets that can take up to 40, or even sometimes 50% of your top-line earnings. People who stay broke view taxes as an unavoidable act of nature, like a thunderstorm. They just let it rain on their paycheck and accept whatever is left. They do not understand the difference between W-2 income, which is the highest taxed money on the planet, and capital gains. They do not utilize tax-advantaged accounts aggressively. They do not structure their assets or consider side businesses that allow for legitimate, legal deductions before the taxable bottom line is calculated. If you are making a massive salary but paying 38% of it straight to the government without any optimization strategy, you are trying to fill a bucket that has a massive hole drilled perfectly into the bottom. The rich use the tax code as a playbook for wealth preservation. The high earner uses it as an annual source of anxiety and frustration. If you do not learn the rules of the game, you will be permanently penalized by the referee. Sign number 7 hits very close to home for many. You are house poor and addicted to geographical status. There is a deeply ingrained societal myth that owning a massive home is the absolute cornerstone of financial success. But here is the brutal, unspoken truth about the primary residence. It is a massive, cash-guzzling liability masked as an investment. You make a great salary, so the bank approves you for a massive $1.5 million mortgage in a highly desirable, affluent zip code. You move in. The house is beautiful. You feel like you have made it. But then the reality of the math kicks the door down. The property taxes are monstrous. The insurance premiums are painfully high. The maintenance for a 4,000 square foot property constantly drains your liquidity. Every time you fix the roof, replace the VECA system, or landscape the sprawling yard, cash completely vanishes. You have tied up a massive percentage of your monthly cash flow into a completely illiquid, concrete box. You have an incredible zip code, but you have zero flexibility. If a massive investment opportunity arises, you have no cash to deploy. If you want to start a business, your capital is trapped behind drywall and granite countertops. People justify this by saying, well, the house is appreciating. It doesn't matter. Appreciation on a primary residence is ghost money until you sell or borrow against it, and even then, if the market corrects, you are left holding a tremendously expensive bag. Buying too much house because your salary permits, it is the fastest way to paralyze your wealth-building engine. It is the ultimate manifestation of ego overtaking economics. Are we awake yet? Because sign number 8 is about to expose your investments. The sign is, you invest purely based on FOMO and shiny object syndrome, chasing the financial noise. A high earner often feels an intense, unspoken pressure to be sophisticated. You don't want to just buy a boring, low-cost index fund. In your mind, your high salary demands high-level, complex investments. You sit at a dinner party and your friends are talking about obscure cryptocurrency altcoins, leveraged real estate syndications, angel investing in unproven tech startups, or algorithmic forex trading bots. You feel a massive wave of fear of missing out. So you start throwing $10,000 here, $20,000 there, without any centralized strategy, without conducting deep due diligence, and without understanding the extreme asymmetric risk profiles of these unproven assets. This is fundamentally gambling disguised as portfolio diversification. The greatest investors in human history, minds like Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger, built their astronomical wealth on extreme patience, profound boredom, and incredibly simple, deeply researched fundamentals. But the broke high earner lacks patience. They want the thrill. They want to sound intelligent at the country club. As a result, they continuously lose capital to high fees, volatile collapse, and outright scams. If your investment strategy requires a constantly checking your phone every 10 minutes to see if the market moved, you are not investing. You are merely renting anxiety. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. By trying to be overly clever with a high salary, you end up slowly bleeding your capital into the pockets of the truly sophisticated players on Wall Street. And now we arrive at the emotional core. Sign number 9, the psychological trap, the toxic "I work hard, so I deserve this" entitlement complex. We need to have a very serious reality check about the relationship between physical exhaustion and monetary reward. Yes, you work 50, 60, maybe 70 hours a week. Your job is stressful. Your boss is demanding. The corporate politics are exhausting. You get to the weekend and you feel completely drained. And what does your brain whisper to you? You suffered this week. You earned this. You deserve to buy that massive designer watch. You deserve to drop $2,000 on a VIP table at the club. This is emotional spending, explicitly designed as a coping mechanism for a life you subconsciously dislike. You are using your high salary to purchase fleeting moments of comfort to compensate for the fundamental lack of freedom in your daily existence. It is a terrifying loop. You work incredibly hard. You feel exhausted. You buy expensive things to feel better. The expensive things require you to keep working incredibly hard. The stress mounts. You have successfully weaponized your own psychology against your financial future. Wealthy individuals do not spend money to feel better about their lives. They design their lives so that they do not need to constantly buy their way out of stress. The market does not care how hard you work. The universe does not owe you a luxury lifestyle just because you put in overtime. The concept of deserving consumer goods is a marketing slogan invented by massive agencies to separate you from your capital. The only thing an exhausted, hard-working person actually deserves is massive financial independence, and you destroy that the second you treat them all like a therapy session. Finally, we reach the end of the line, sign number 10. The ultimate failure of the high-income earner. You completely lack any multi-generational or long-term structural vision. You live exclusively in the present tense. You plan in cycles of 30 days. Next month's rent. Next month's car payment. Next year's vacation. You are playing checkers while the wealthy are playing chess across generations. A high salary allows you to afford the illusion of safety today. But what is your exact mathematical plan for a decade from now? What is your strategy to build an impenetrable fortress of wealth that not only protects you during your retirement, but provides an unshakable foundation for your children and your children's children? When you only optimize for the next 30 days, you make decisions that prioritize comfort over compound interest. You decline to endure short-term pain for massive long-term leverage. You fail to buy the life insurance policies that fund trusts. You fail to set up holding companies that protect your assets. You operate as a solo earner producing cash, rather than a CEO building a family enterprise. A great salary is a phenomenal starting point. It is a massive advantage in the game of capitalism. But if you do not shift your mindset from how do I spend this money today, to how do I architect this money to outlive me, you will reach the end of your career with nothing to show for it but a closet full of old suits, a depreciated car, and the terrifying realization that you spent 40 years building a lifestyle, but forgot to build wealth. So let me ask you the most important question you will hear today. When you strip away the BMW lease in the driveway, when you delete the fancy zip code, and when you stop posting your expensive dinners on your Instagram stories, what is your actual numerical net worth? When the noise is completely silenced, are you truly wealthy, or are you just heavily subsidized by high-interest debt? It is time to wake up. It is time to leverage that incredible income, stop playing the consumer game, and start building financial iron. Thank you so much for sticking with me all the way to the end of this video. If you made it this far, you are part of the elite few who actually care about taking control of their destiny. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button, absolutely destroy the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and share this with just one person who needs to hear this reality check today. I will see you in the next one. Stay smart, stay focused, and keep building.